Hello and welcome to Writing Today. In this episode, I'm going to be talking about the benefits of the daily writing habit and tips on developing it. Now, writing is a skill like any other which can improve with practice and time. So it makes sense that if you want to improve as a writer, you have to spend more time writing and you have to be more consistent about how often you do write. But of course, with busy schedules and writer's block, it's very difficult to form a habit of writing. So I'll be giving you advice on how to do just that, to the point where you can write almost every day. As always, you can find this blog post on my website, thepensleuth.com. There's a link to that in the description below. And if you're interested in premium writing education, whether it be courses or coaching, I recommend checking out my writer's workshop. There's a link to that in the description as well. Of course, if you want to check out my teaching methods first, there's a link to a free writing course at the top of the description. With that said, let's get into the video and start talking about the benefits of daily writing. The first major benefit is consistently improving your writing skills. Writing is a skill that improves with practice. The more you write, the better you write. Yes, there are other methods to improve, from reading to research, but there's more to storytelling than stitching random words together. Taking the time to pursue your projects and dabble with different ideas is a surefire way to take your writing to the next level. Of course, if you have the mentality of wanting to see yourself improve, then writing consistency is a very important factor. If you're looking for a confidence boost in yourself and your writing, then a consistent writing habit is the best way to do that. The second benefit is better time management. As with all habits, it requires the writer to look at their average routine and make time for their projects. Time management is a skill everyone can take advantage of, as quite often we take longer to complete tasks, cutting into time that can be better spent on our hobbies or other aspects of life we enjoy. Of course, if you want to make anything a habit, you need to have great time management skills. It's all about creating a more efficient daily routine. This will give you more time to write as well as do any other task that you feel that you don't have enough time to do. Of course, as you start prioritizing your tasks, you'll have a new appreciation for them as well. The third benefit of daily writing is it reduces your stress. Writing is an excellent way to reduce stress. Many people write to clear their heads of messy thoughts or to escape into a world of their own imagination. However, those that write simply for the pleasure of writing also reap the same relaxation benefits. It's all about focusing one's mind on something else, something a bit more interesting and something that one has a lot more control over. Whether you got into writing to relax or not, this is certainly a benefit you'll notice if you form a daily writing habit. Now, everybody has a method or routine that helps them relax at the end of the day, reach a calm state of mind. And writing is a great method to relax because not only does it help you reach that calm state of mind, but it also helps you be more productive. Not many people have something to show at the end of a relaxation routine, whether it's watching TV or browsing the internet. But as a writer, you'll have a story to tell. The fourth benefit is it improves your memory and communication skills. Working on a complex project, such as a novel, is a great way to challenge one's memory, whether it's developing an array of interesting features in your novel, or qualities about certain characters. You as a writer have to keep track of all of them to avoid contradictions in your novel. And yes, while it's easier to remember the details regarding something you're passionate about, it's still an excellent way to improve your memory. As a bonus, when you're constructing stories, you're also creating dialogues. As you practice your dialogues, whether you spend a lot of time writing them out or reading them aloud, you will also improve your communication skills. The best communicators are often the best storytellers, so it makes sense that to practice your storytelling is to improve your communication skills as well. The fifth benefit is it is increased productivity. The last major benefit I'll talk about, although there are certainly more, is that working consistently on your writing project encourages productivity. Many writers find large writing projects daunting as it requires a lot of time and effort. However, these are projects that are best completed through consistent work as often as possible, rather than with random bursts of energy. If you like to see progress on your writing projects, then forming a daily habit of writing is a great way to improve it. Once more, this comes down to you wanting to see progress in your efforts. You don't want to spend a lot of time writing over a period of years to find that the progress isn't what you expected. Well, the best way to chip at a stone is to chip at it consistently over time, instead of taking long breaks in between. As you do this, you'll see more productivity, which means you'll have a closer to finished novel than you would if you were to take long breaks in between. And I often encourage my students to do just that. So many writers like to rely on a burst of inspiration, but that isn't a great way to make sure you finish your novel, because you never know when that burst of inspiration will hit you. Once you start to form a habit and keep with the momentum, you'll start to see progress at an astounding rate, one that will certainly please you and encourage you to write even more. Now those are just some of the benefits, but certainly not all of them. Now let's talk about tips for forming this daily writing habit. The very first piece of advice is to set realistic goals. If you want to make a habit of writing every day, you need to set realistic goals to avoid letdowns. As with most things, when inspired, people tend to get carried away. Usually that is fine, but with long-term projects, you are running a marathon, not a sprint. Those that work too hard reach burnout a lot faster with writer's block close behind. The question is, what kind of limit do you set for yourself in order to manage your energy better? If you have a tight schedule or many responsibilities, then one of the best limits you can set is a time limit. Allow yourself a certain amount of time each day to tackle your writing project. Whether it's 30 minutes or an hour, anything can help you make progress as long as you work at it consistently. Of course, if time isn't an issue, then perhaps it's more about word count. A lot of professional authors like to write at least 2,000 words a day. That seems to be the magic number in the writing community. However, if you have a job and other responsibilities, 2,000 words a day can be quite a stretch. So a more reasonable limit of anything from 500 to 1,000 is plenty. Setting these realistic goals will encourage you to write more consistently. The second piece of advice is to eliminate distractions. Of course, you don't want to dive into writing and stop every few minutes to deal with a nagging distraction or lose yourself in social media. Although it might be tough at first, try to distance yourself from these distractions physically and mentally. Don't write in front of the TV, put your phone on the other side of the room, and certainly try to stay off any other online distractions. At the same time, take note of those responsibilities you can't avoid. You certainly want to also do them before you start your writing session, because you don't want the thought of doing them later bothering you as you write. So it's best to save your writing session until you've got a lot of those anxiety-inducing chores out of the way. Of course, there'll be times when those distractions win. There's no avoiding that. But with enough willpower and forethought, you can avoid many of the major distractions and give yourself plenty of time to do your writing. The third tip is to find support and encouragement. It's a small piece of advice, but one that works very well, especially with a social writer. If you struggle to stick to the habit, it might help to start the habit with another writer, or ask for the support of a friend or family member. Sometimes we need someone nagging us into something we want to do, at least until the habit is formed. A lot of writers like to collaborate with other writers for this reason. These writers can remind each other when to write, report progress to each other. It's a great way to encourage more productivity and consistency, of course. Having someone to support you as much as you support them is a great way to encourage this habit, and you'll have an easier time getting into writing. Tip number 4 is to experiment with different writing prompts. I've already talked about writing prompts many times before, and you can find them online or make your own. Small ideas can be noted down and used later to help spark an interesting scene. One's instincts can only carry one so far before genuine direction is needed. That's why it's good some days to take a break from a bigger project and tackle something else. When you don't feel like writing your novel, perhaps writing a short story on the side or coming up with a different idea for a story and working on that is a great way to distance yourself and take a break from a certain narrative and start writing another. This will keep the habit going and your interest in writing alive, and at the same time it'll give you room to think about your main project as well. Tip number 5 is to celebrate your successes. Too often, creative types make a fuss about the times they aren't pursuing their passion or their disappointment in their progress. It can really bring down one's enthusiasm. By the same token, one can lift their spirits by celebrating their progress and consistency. You don't need to celebrate every chapter you write, but perhaps every few. And it doesn't need to be a big celebration either. I'm not saying throw a party every time you finish 20% of your novel. But perhaps taking the time to do something you enjoy or reward yourself is a great way to encourage you to write more. You'll find that appreciating even the small steps that you take can have a profound effect on your writing enthusiasm. And here are my thoughts on the topic. I always believe that consistency in anything is a great idea. And writing consistently every day is certainly a lot better than writing every now and then with long breaks in between. It becomes very difficult to get into the writing process if you spend too long not writing. And no, I don't believe you have to write every day to keep this habit alive, but certainly every 2 or 3 days is a great target to aim for, and it will certainly keep your enthusiasm for writing alive. If you've already formed a great writing habit that keeps your enthusiasm alive, let me know your methods in the comments below, as well as any benefits you noticed from regular writing. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. And if you're interested in more premium writing education, I still recommend checking out the Writer's Workshop. It's a wealth of courses at your fingertips, as well as a coaching program if you're interested in working with me in creating a novel you can be proud of. Thank you for watching, and as always, good day, good night, and happy writing.